I am GamerX. Today I'm going to be giving you my list of the top 10 retro games for the classic NES system. Now, these titles are just my opinion of what I believe to be the best of the best for the NES. If you agree or disagree, feel free to leave comments below. If you think certain games should or shouldn't be on there, again, feel free to leave comments. Okay, let's get started. Number 10. Darkwing Duck. Developed by Capcom, this 1992 Disney title had the feel of the traditional Mega Man game for the NES, mainly since it was a tweaked version of the Mega Man engine. This well-popular 2D style platformer had our hero doing what he does best of saving his home of St. Crawford in 7 different levels. With cool power-ups and somewhat comedic style of gameplay and ending cutscene, Darkwing Duck was definitely a popular title for the NES. Although Launchpad wasn't a playable character, this game still had a lot to offer even without a save file, or password feature. Not to mention the controversy that it was way too hard for the younger players. It was still a great title for the NES. Number 9. Earthbound. Both developed and published by Nintendo, Earthbound, or Mother 2 in Japan, was not only the introduction of NES, but one of Nintendo's first RPGs. Known for its offbeat plot and mechanics, this game takes place in a modern 1950s American-style environment. Ness, with his good friends Paula, Poe, and Jeff, run into Mr. Saturn and help out the Runaway Five, even though there's only 6 members, in a dream world to fend off Gaius. The most interesting thing about the game is the first-person perspective in an RPG formula given its release in 1995. However, still holds the main RPG elements such as HP counter roll, turn-based system, and so on. To this day, NES may not have too many games since that series, but he's still around to smash things up. Number 8. Dig Dug 2. Namco made a big impact with its 1989 North American release with Dig Dug 2. With a video system using mapping, but under the Pac-Man hardware, Dig Dug 2 ran particularly well. With a game where you just dig tunnels and use an air pump to destroy enemies, it became a hit instantly. However, the original game had its challenges when facing Puka and Frygar, not to mention you didn't get any extra lives until you hit 900,000 points. Dig Dug 2 was not too much different from its first game, but still to date one of the best titles for the original NES. Number 7. Castlevania. Talk about the classics. This 1987 2D platformer was set in the year 1691 in, you guessed it, Transylvania. With a story that had Dracula returning every 100 years to bring fear and death to the land, the local people have cried out for a hero. With the Belmont line still around, Simon becomes a legendary vampire killer, fighting not only Dracula but zombies, huge bats, and the Grim Reaper himself to end the fight of all fights. With his whip and upgradable items such as the double shot, Simon unleashed a fury to stop the evil Count. Castlevania had amazing gameplay given the time it was released. Modern gamers criticize it for being too frustrating with its limitations. Still, this game has spawned many more titles for future consoles, so let's not forget where this series started. Number 6. Kid Icarus. The original battle with Medusa, 1986, brought the bow-wielding Pit, which took place in an ancient Greek setting in another 2D style platformer. With all kinds of power-ups such as the flaming arrows and the protective crystal, Pit has many ways to take down his enemies. It also had a different way to obtain health, by finding bottles with the water of life, or by the hot springs chamber. Now his main enemy Medusa hated all mortals, and not only turned them into stone, but destroyed their homes and crops as well, therefore becoming the monster she is and was banished. It's now up to Pit to find the sacred treasures and stop Medusa once and for all. Now, despite being overshadowed by other games like Donkey Kong, it was still seen as a high-quality game for its era. It was voted 54 out of 200 for Nintendo's top 10 games of all time. Kid Icarus has certainly left an impact on classic gamers even till this day. Number 5. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a classic half-shell. One of Konami's best games hit the NES in 1989, where you played as, of course, the 4 Ninja Turtles. Based on the hit comic, this single-player platformer had you taking both April O'Neil and Master Splinter from the Shredder in the foot. One of the coolest features about this game was being able to split characters at will, but only playing them one at a time. Not to mention there was not a life amount, like in most games, but if you lost your character, they were captured. But you can also find them again in the game if you find them in different spots. With a few side weapons like the boomerang and the shuriken, which had limited use, made a great game for this title. Turtle Power! Number 4. Mega Man. From 1987 to present, Mega Man is a classic game that is still producing new titles. This run-and-gun single-player shooter was the first of many games released by Capcom. This title was the only one to feature no password or save file, has a point system and only 6 robot masters. But one cool feature was being able to select from the 6 stages at will and are actually replayable when completed. Not to mention when a boss is defeated, Mega Man gains the enemy's signature attack. Now with an extra point system, collectible power-ups, this game was truly one of a kind. To this day, Mega Man still continues to surprise us, whether it's going on against evil robots or just smashing things up with Mario or Pikachu. Number 3. Metroid. 1986 introduced us to planet SR-388 and Samus Aran, the most famous bounty hunter known. Okay, female bounty hunter known. In the year of 20X5, a research station attacked by space pirates has stolen a creature simply known as Metroid. The Federation has sent lone space bounty hunter Samus Aran to destroy the Mother Brain. Now this series is one of Nintendo's main franchises, with producing as many as 13 such titles like Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion. This goes to show you that women can definitely kick some ass. Number 2. The Legend of Zelda. It's time to get serious. 1987 brought a series with 17 different titles and 7 spin-off games. Nintendo had many successful games, but none other like this. Our hero from Hyrule, Link, in an adventure RPG-style game to this day, is one of the all-time greats. It's a rare game that had an internal battery to include a save file made by Nintendo, had a greater critical and financial success with the launch of this title. Without a doubt, Zelda is among the most popular and recognized names in video gaming. This title is one of the few with an in-game prologue and full story. Going up against Ganon, later on Ganondorf, with the power of the Triforce Wisdom, fought his way through secret dungeons and a land, rescuing Zelda and restoring peace in Hyrule. When The Legend of Zelda was released, its gameplay defied categorization, incorporating elements from action games, adventure games, role-playing, and even puzzle games. With unique maps and dungeons with secret passageways, there was more than enough to keep the player occupied. Honestly, I can go on for hours telling you how awesome this game is, but now I have to move on to number 1. Number 1. Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. The game that started a culture in Nintendo. I don't think anyone growing up in the mid-1980s, including myself, didn't have this game. The franchise is actually turning 30 years old this September if you based it on its 1985 Japan release. It was an influential and groundbreaking game created by Nintendo and has brought many games and spin-offs in its nearly 30-year run. Now, even though the game was so simple and it can be beaten in 10 minutes with the help of the warp zones, also the story was simple too. Bowser kidnaps Peach, Roll meets Castle, eventually defeat Bowser, Mario saves Peach, he gains a kiss. As simple or as plain as it was, it's the best-selling and most iconic game of all time, with over 40.23 million copies sold, and holds the Guinness Book of World Records as the greatest-selling game of all time. The 2-player feature with Luigi made it possible to see who can beat the game faster or with the higher score, which made a simple game actually pretty competitive. With the addition of their interactive Duck Hunt shooter with a Zapper controller, made this game even more desirable.